of modern relocation in June 2026 looking like to you these days?
Yeah, I think for us, James, it's kind of a developing world. Certainly, the trend towards lump sums and permanent relocations, things like that, have continues. Um, I can't really remember the last time I did a full tax equalization. I think I've done one this year. So it's still, from the tax side of things, it seems like that is, that process that we had for so many years is continuing to dwindle, and I think that's true across the board. Talking to people in the industry, talking to other tax colleagues at other firms, even some of the traditional big programs, with your large multinationals that have always had these very large programs, the number of people that are getting tax equalized within that is dropping rapidly. This need for the traditional expat where the company says we're going to send you there because we have a critical need and we're going to pay for everything. I think companies are getting a bit savvy. I mean, would you agree with that, James? I know, on your side, do you see that kind of curtailing of the let's pay for everything?
Yeah, it's a really great point. It's more of a change the way people are doing things. Um, we're still seeing quite a lot of movement, but we're seeing different sorts of movement. We're seeing companies wanting to give their assignees more independence. We're seeing a lot more sort of lump sum types of things where basically the whole tax issue is sort of put in the assignee's hands. And that's a big one. I mean, it's a really big point. We help them. Also, the lump sum means that when assignees are given a lump sum, the first thing they want to do is they want to put the money in the pocket.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you want to do. It's great. It's like Christmas has come early, and it's fantastic news. So you put money in your pocket. The next thing is you might go down to your spouse or partner or your mates, get down to a bar and have a drink or a cup of coffee and a bit of a celebration. And then you may start thinking, well, actually, I've got to get my act together. I've got to be moving from London to New York, and I've got to be there in 3 weeks, and then I don't really know it very well, and da da da. Um, and that's sort of where we come in, because mainly because of the use of our technology and our hybrid model slashes costs. It allows people to sort of use lump sums very cost efficiently, which HR love because they don't have to worry about it. The assignees love because they keep most of the money in their pocket, or a good chunk of it. They certainly don't have to go out and invest in a massively over hierarchical sort of giant relocation company where they have to deal with 101 different people and they get loads of stuff they don't need and they're paying for things they don't need. So we've seen that change quite a bit. And also companies generally, Chris, just a bit more savvy. They're already a lot more savvy. I mean, I'm talking about, the companies that move people. I was at a reception at JP Morgan's new headquarters in New York behind me. In fact, I don't think that's actually the World Trade Center. I've been there too. But the whole approach has changed. I think working from home is also something that sort of dovetails into this. There hasn't been a full return to the office, but grade A offices in New York, where you and I do quite a lot of our stuff. I have this on the lowest vacancy rates ever at the moment.
Oh, wow. Didn't realize
and
that. Yeah.
and it's really interesting. And the sort of back office people and the sort of more secondary support people are moving to places like Miami and Florida and Texas and stuff like that. All places you guys cover so well. But they're keeping their sort of front of front of desk, if you like,
Yeah.
here in the city. So, yeah, we're seeing a real change. And also, you must be coming across a lot of very tech savvy clients, I would imagine, out there now as well.
Yes and no. I mean, the development of the information age, which, to use the old phrase, and now AI, to use the new phrase,
Yeah,
um, has made everybody an instant genius. The problem that I see from a tax perspective is the old adage of, well, you can get an answer, but what does that answer actually mean? So we have people who come to the table a lot more aware of what they need to do. But certainly from a tax perspective, when I use AI for research, I know the questions to ask it in order to get to the depth of knowledge that I need to get to in terms of a proper tax technical answer. A lot of people who are relocating don't know those particular points to ask and can lead themselves down a path of kind of unexpected ignorance, if you like. I know that's a pretty harsh way of saying it, but they can think one thing, but due to a nuance in how they asked the AI, whatever AI program they're using, they may be missing something that's quite crucial. And that kind of, I mean, it reflects to me, and be interested in your thoughts, James, that's kind of, that wider duty of care aspect that was a hot topic at certainly a couple of years ago with COVID, and everyone was talking about duty of care and employee experience and all of this kind of thing. The move towards lump sum and permanent relocations, it kind of feels a little bit against duty of care, because to your point, what if your person sticks all that money in their pocket or wastes it on buying a new BMW, and then they don't get to A to B in a very successful manner, or they don't spend what they need to from a tax advice position and get themselves in trouble. We see that a lot. The HR sort of priorities a little bit, I feel, are somewhat conflicting. We have this pressure to cut costs, if you like, and find efficiencies. Let's say it the polite way. But at the same time, the clients are looking for that. Oh, we want our people to have a great experience and duty of care. I think that is an area where technology can really help. I know you're doing some interesting stuff there. But I think from tax perspective, we're still a little way away from certainly taking the human out to A, both confirm what people can find out now, but also B, then actually execute on it, because it's AI can tell you how to do everything, but it doesn't necessarily do it for you within a tax program or to fill out a necessary form, that kind of thing.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, AI is a very powerful tool, but it's not something you can rely on entirely. I mean, we use it quite a lot as a bit of a guide structure. It's built into our app and so on. But we, like you, it needs to be interactive with human experts on the ground. People who have, all that experience. You have 20, 30 years of experience under your belt, as your team is super experienced. You've done thousands, not tens of thousands of these. AI will give you a guide, but it's not going to get you there. And it's not always right. I mean, often I find that it's inaccurate. It's out of date. It picks up the wrong things. I mean, all sorts of things. Tax is and financial preparedness is critical to a move process, be it a temporary one, it's like a 2-year assignment, or permanently. I've done both, actually, so I've been on the receiving end of both. And if you're moving over temporary, there's a whole load of tax treaties and stuff that you've got to work out, and you've got to figure out the adjustments and so on. When I moved over permanently, I had to re-account, if that's the right word, or restate my accounts, my British accounts, for the last previous 7 years
Wow.
as part of the green card process. And it was an absolute nightmare. All the dates were wrong because the British go from April to May or April to April. US is calendar. So you have, everything's 3 months out of sync. And then you
Yeah.
have to convert everything from pounds sterling to dollars at the relevant exchange rates. I mean, it went on, And it cost me a small fortune. I didn't have to quite rob a bank, but I was pretty close to it. I should have given you a shout, actually. And
Highly trained experts, James. You
maybe you will
understand
shotgun.
that,
And yeah, and you're so right. You need to plan these things in advance. You need to think them through in advance. Don't just get on the plane.
Yeah, well, I think that's some of it. I mean, you do get different types. I'm helping a family move right now. They're moving over to the States from London, and they've been meticulous in their planning and going through their assets, their kids' assets, all sorts, to ensure that they fully understand the implications. But I know that probably next week I'm going to get a call from somebody who's, oh yeah, I've been in the US for the last 3 years and I haven't filed a tax return yet. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, we get all sorts, James. You wouldn't believe. And we also, I mean, it's not just foreign nationals coming here. We have a number of US people overseas who fall into delinquency for whatever reason, and that's that can be a big challenge getting people tidied up. But again, I think it's one of those things that I think a relocation can create, right? As this kind of, that's kind of a hard thing to deal with a relocation. I'm here now, I'm doing okay, but the taxes, that seems hard. I'll just kind of procrastinate on that a bit and leave it till the end. And that's when we can see people running into trouble, and really putting themselves in financial hard, in the sight of the IRS and financial hardship. They can take, in theory, they could take up to 50% of your non-declared foreign bank accounts. There's $10,000 penalties per form for missing foreign asset implications. So there's a lot of things, again, sort of referring back to that duty of care. And it's not just the US anymore, let's be honest. Other countries are looking for similar data. And I think it's going to be, again, it's something that, AI and technology will make it easier to supply those details to authorities. But you've got to know about that to do it. It's not going to happen automatically. You know the case, James. You don't land at JFK and there's a big sign saying, make sure you declare your foreign bank accounts if you're staying here a certain amount of time. It just doesn't happen. It's amazing how many people don't know about that requirement until they've been here for several years. And yeah, a lot of people find out about it accidentally, as I'm sure you know. It's like, oh, I never knew I had to do that. And suddenly, oh, I've got a big problem here.